Hey, Stacey.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Oh, Amy. Stacey, your screen.
Yeah, I've got coconut oil on my hands.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So Stacey, Radical Blueprint 1, Amy, Radical Blueprint 2.
Hello.
Yay. Okay, hi Bex, hi Liz, hi Anna. Everyone is joining, good. Hello everyone, hello. I'm paranoid that I've got food in my teeth because if you saw my Instagram stories today, I was talking with this like massive, yeah, Amy, you saw it, didn't you?
Yeah, because I also had food in my teeth. Like when I got home from going out with some friends, I was like, not awesome, amazing.
Oh my God, it's like my worst fear. Good God. Hi Anthea.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Well, shitty day actually, to be honest, but hey, you're going to be my highlight of the day.
Don't you mean shitty moments in a day?
Okay.
The whole day wasn't shitty.
No, not exactly.
Hello, Nicole.
You've got this halo on you, by the way.
Oh, I think it looks so weird. It's from the lamp that's next to me, but I'll take a halo. That's fine. Oh, God. Okay, cool. Yay, people are joining. So it's been a while since I've actually done one of these with such a broad group. So I hope that it doesn't crash and burn. And I hope that oh my gosh, people's photos are hilarious. Yeah, I hope that I stay on track, I make sense, and I don't go over time because I have a tendency to kind of ramble a little bit. Hello, everyone joining. Hi, Amber. Hi, Joe. Okay, cool. What's the time? 8:02. So, thank you so much to everyone for, I'll just pop everyone on mute. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining and for sending through your questions. So many insights and just such a great way to get engagement and to really figure out what it is that is front of mind for you guys right now and what people are kind of growing through as we close out this decade and really forge ahead into a new one. And I'm seeing a lot of common themes kind of coming through with my clients, and a lot of it, I mean, all of it comes back to fear. And so fear, overwhelm, and all the different shades of fear that we'll get into today, because under the fear umbrella, so we can only ever operate out of one of two operating systems, I guess. One is love and one is fear. And so it's fear that tends to operate 90% of our decisions, right? We're coming from the space of, what if I fail? What if I don't do it right? What if somebody judges me? What if? So we're going to dig into a lot of those today and just get really clear on what it is that is holding you back from what you want. And hello, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. Hi, Brittany. So just, hi. Great to see all your beautiful faces from all over the world. So there is a chat box as well. So just, if you've got any questions or if you're like, yes, that landed for me, just pop that in the chat box so I know, just so I know what's landing for you, what's resonating, and if you have any questions along the way that you haven't already submitted to me, you can pop them in there. We've only got about an hour, so if I don't get to them tonight, I will, I'll send out a recording of this tomorrow, so I'll answer any of the questions that I don't answer tonight in that email tomorrow. Sound good? Okay, cool. I've put together a little bit of a presentation just to kind of keep me on track, and because I'm an Aquarius and we need visuals. Okay, where is it? And in this presentation, I've just kind of like listed out everyone's questions that they submitted to me, just so I can speak to each one rather than just kind of rambling for an hour. So let's do that. And I'll just share my screen with you guys. Where are you? Okay, share. Ooh, wrong window, hold on. Okay. Can we all see, oh God, there's so many windows. Okay, can we all see this presentation? Just nod your heads. Yes, perfect, yay. Okay, so this is all about, if you've come here for overcoming fear, self-doubt, and overwhelm in 2020, you're in the right place. And I just need to close all your beautiful faces because I'm going to get distracted. More distracted. Okay. So my overarching question for you ladies is, I assume it's all ladies. I know that one of my gentleman friends wanted to join, but he's busy. The question I want you to really sit with right now and just kind of go inward and ask this question of yourself is that why do you not yet have what you want? And I'm typically talking about the bigger kind of overarching things like career, relationship, friendships, money, health, like all of those kind of buckets. Just have a think about why you don't have what you want in each of those areas yet, or in one of those areas which is standing out. So what is in the way? What are the blocks that are stopping you from being able to have that thing? Because when we get clear on what's in the way, then we can figure out how to actually navigate those blocks and really work towards getting what it is that we want. So I've broken it down into some buckets here, and I hope that there's no errors here because I did it really quickly. But these are the typical buckets that the blocks really come into. So first one is obviously fear, and fear of failure. We're all familiar with fear of failure. It's this like, what if I mess up? What if I do it wrong? What if I don't succeed? What if I don't like the job that I go for? What if I fail at the relationship or whatever it is? But there's also a fear of success, which not a lot of people have really thought about. And this fear of success is like, okay, but what if I get the thing and then I can't keep it, or I can't, maintain that level of success? Or what if my friends and parents disown me when I get that level of success? So who am I going to become when I have more money, or I have a different job, or I'm in a relationship? Are my friends no longer going to want to hang out with me? So fear of success is something that really has started showing up quite a lot in my clients. And a lot of it comes back to this self-worth piece of like, do I really feel deserving of what it is that I'm actually calling in? So something to think about. Fear of upsetting someone and fear of making the wrong choice. So and there's so many more that we can dig into, but those are kind of the main ones that I tend to see. The next one is overwhelm. So there's too much at stake. I don't know what step to take first. And this leads to paralysis by analysis. So trying to analyze every single step from our head of trying to figure out like, how do I do it? When do I do it? What do I need? And then we get paralyzed and we don't actually take any action at all. How many people, put your hands up if that's you right now? Like, I don't even know what to do, so I'm just not going to do anything. I can't even see you all, but I'm sure you're putting your hands up. The next bucket is confusion. So is this actually what I want? Why do I want this? Am I just going after something that my parents want for me, or that society deems as successful? The next one is you're stuck in the past. So this one is super common, and depression is about living in the past, whereas anxiety is living in the future. And what's in the middle of that is presence, which is where both of those things cannot actually exist. And so many of us are living in the past and replaying our old stories, our old failures, our old, baggage, our old traumas, all that kind of stuff. And we're trying to predict the future based on the past. But we can never actually connect the dots looking backwards. We can only connect the dots we cannot connect the dots looking forwards. We can only connect them looking backwards. But so many people are actually living in that space, looking at the past relationships which didn't work out, the guys that cheated on me. So that means that any future relationships are going to cheat on me as well. But that's not an accurate predictor of the future, because in every single moment, we're a completely new person. You're not the same person today that you were yesterday. You've increased your grip. You've increased your resilience. The same scenarios cannot come into your experience because you're not the same container. So that's a big one. And then on the other side of that is being stuck in the future. And I see this a lot with women, and particularly my younger women, and they're future projecting. So they have an attachment to a particular outcome. So if I go after this, it needs to turn out this way to be a success. Or if I'm not going to take action until I know that it's going to be safe. I'm not going to start the business until I know that I can, earn 6 figures in my first year. Or I'm just not going to take any action until I can see the whole staircase. And there's a saying that I always say, which is like, you don't need to see the whole staircase, you just need to see the first step. And then the next one is self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is super common, and it's a pattern, and it's basically saying, I'm going to fail, so I'm not even going to try. So you ruin it for yourself by having this fear of the worst case scenario coming true. So what actually feeds the fear? Getting advice from unqualified people, i.e. your parents. So this one I see a lot. So often we're trying to get the counsel and the advice of people around us, people who are really close to us, our partner, our friend, our colleagues, our parents. But those people are not necessarily qualified to be giving that advice, because there's a saying which is, don't ask people who haven't been where you're going for advice, because they have no experience in that arena. They have your best interests at heart, but they don't necessarily know what it is that you're actually hoping to achieve or going for. So always, always, always surround yourself or have people in your space who can give you unbiased advice that's not based on their own fears and their own projections. And that's why a space like Radical Blueprint is so powerful, my mastermind program, because you have this group of people around you who are just lifting you up, supporting you, rooting for you. There is no fear. And yeah, it's incredibly nurturing that way. The next thing that feeds the fear is societal conditioning. So societal conditioning is basically this is the expectations that society places on us. So we need to be married by 25, and we need to buy a house, and we need to earn over 70k, and we need to X, Y, and Z. And so many of our expectations are actually, or the expectations that we're trying to live up to, are actually ones placed on us by society. And what happens, we're kind of brainwashed by the messages that society is telling us, and that's in school, that's in the media, that's in news, that's in social media, all of those things. And we actually lose a sense of what we actually deem to be true, and what we actually want, and what we actually just want to do with our lives. And instead we're living up to the expectations of what society is placing on us. So, and this is a story that I ran for so long, was like, oh my God, I'm going to be deemed a failure if I'm not married and I don't have children by a certain age. And it's something that I've really had to work hard at unpicking. The next one is this need for validation. And one of the ladies who replied to my email with her question, it was around goal setting and having those goals tied back to validation. And this one's huge. And so validation is like needing other people to tell you that you're doing okay, needing other people to tell you that you're successful, that you're going to be okay if you choose this, that you are beautiful, that you're smart, that you're intelligent, that all this kind of stuff. And the thing about validation is that the only sustainable source of validation is the one that we get from ourselves. We cannot rely on external sources, whether that's relationships, whether that's your boss, your best friend, your parents. We cannot rely on those people for validation. Yes, it's nice to have people tell us that we're beautiful and tell us that we're loved and whatever, but when it becomes a part of your identity and you lose a sense of yourself if you're not getting that validation, it becomes like a drug, like you need more and more and more and more. And the validation that you had before isn't enough and you need more. It's like a heroin addiction. So validation really needs to come from a sustainable source, which is internal. So I like me. I think I'm smart. I think I'm beautiful. I think I'm successful without being married or whatever it is. What else feeds the fear is coming from an inauthentic place. So what this means is like going after goals that are coming from a place of ego or, fear. So fear drives the ego. So I want a beach house so that my friends think that I'm successful, or I want to drive the latest BMW so that my parents are proud of me. So having a desire or a goal that comes from an inauthentic place, so a non-soul aligned place, is a fast track for misery and disappointment, because you're tying your validation into that position or into that goal, and it's not actually coming from a place of like, I intrinsically, truly, authentically want this thing for my own good. It's coming from this validation from external sources and from ego. The next thing that feeds the fear is a scarcity mindset. So a scarcity mindset is the opposite of an abundant mindset, and it's essentially saying, I don't have enough. I'm not enough if I don't have this thing. There's never enough money to go around. I'm not smart enough. It's this mindset of lack. So I'm not going to amount to anything because I'm not smart enough, or I don't have enough money to be able to study to go after my dream career. So a scarcity mindset is really, Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset, which is all about a fixed versus a growth mindset. And a scarcity mindset is really a fixed mindset. It's saying my current circumstances are the circumstances that I'm going to have forever. I can't change them. The opposite of that is obviously an abundance mindset, which is all my needs are always met. I have more than enough of everything. The end. The next thing that feeds the fear is expecting the thing, so the goal or the thing that you're trying to achieve or attract in or manifest. You're expecting that that thing is going to fix you or make you happy. So again, this comes back to validation of an object or a possession or a level of success or a salary or a title being your source of validation. So it's going to fix you. It's going to make you happy. If I have more money, I'll just be happy. And there's so many studies that prove that money doesn't actually equate to happiness past, I think, 70K per year. That's kind of the sweet spot for anything above that. It doesn't actually generate any further happiness. And there's so much study that backs that up. So if you're expecting a thing or a job or a whatever to fix you or make you happy, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And then the final thing is comparisonitis or envy. And I was reading, what was I reading today? An article, and it says that envy, and I had never really been clear on these distinctions, but jealousy is like, I want what that person has. But envy is saying, I want to take what that person has so that they can't have it. So that's me saying, like, I don't want that person to have that level of success. I want it, but I don't want them to have it. And comparison really kills envy. Is that right? I think I've got the wrong word in there. Comparison kills. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But envy is really, coming from that scarcity mindset. So it's coming from, I'm not enough until I have that thing, or I'm not enough until I have reached this level of success that my parents will deem as successful, that they can tell their friends at the golf club that their daughter is okay. And then comparisonitis. So this is a disease that has really been exacerbated by social media. Nowhere else in our lives can we compare ourselves more than on social media and through scrolling through Instagram and deeming that this influencer is successful because they have this number of followers, or they have this position, or they look like this in their photos. And so comparisonitis is basically saying, I can't have that level of success that they have because they have it, which is crazy. So those are all the things that really feed the fear. So we want to get clear on what those are so we can pinpoint where in our lives we are letting these things really drive the show. I'm just gonna, I wish I knew how to, does that work? I want to see if anyone is putting comments in the chat box. Where are you? Oh my God, I'm such an amateur. Okay, don't worry. I'll come back to that later. Okay, so I want to come on to your questions just so I can cover each of them off. I think that all of these questions that you submitted will really take up the whole hour, so I just want to make sure that I get onto them quickly so you're getting these covered off. And you're getting your money's worth tonight. Okay, how do I go to the next screen? Okay, cool. So one lady asked how to be completely at peace with your past and move forward. So again, this comes back to this like living in the past thing, and we're trying to predict our future based on what happened in the past. And I did kind of answer this already. So I said that we are never the same person in any given moment. So the person I am today is not the person I was yesterday or last week or last year. And so I cannot expect that tomorrow's experiences or occurrences are going to have the same effect that previous ones did. It's insane. There's no way that we can predict that because the circumstances are always fluid and evolving. And when I say circumstances, I mean the people involved are always changing. They're completely different to what they were when that circumstance happened. So in order for us to be at peace with our past, a lot of it comes from having it's self-acceptance. And my ladies on the call who have done Radical Blueprint, you know that module 1 is self-acceptance. And so self-acceptance is really coming to this place of laying all of your shit out on the table and saying, okay, all of this has happened to me in my life, and I have done this to other people, and I have whatever acted out of integrity here, and I have hurt this person, and they have hurt me, and whatever, but I accept it all. I accept it. It's all coming home with me. It's coming in my bag. It's not creating a story, and it's not necessarily coming through into the future with me in the same form, but I'm taking it. I'm accepting it, because everything, I believe that every card that we're dealt was for us. So everything that has occurred in your life, everything that has happened to you, has brought you here to this now moment. And so all of it was perfect. All of it was part of your greater plan, part of your evolution. And so I choose to believe that, because that is a compassionate belief. That is something that supports my own mental well-being. I choose not to believe that things happen to me because I'm a bad person, or because I was unlucky, or because those are disempowering beliefs. So I always choose the path of most empowerment for myself. And I hope that you guys do too. So being at peace with your past is really saying, I accept it all. All of it was part of my growth and evolution. It was all a learning experience. And I'm now moving forward with this toolkit that is equipped with all of the tools that these experiences gave me. So I hope that that answers that question. Feel free to pop in the chat box if you want me to elaborate on that further. But really, I cannot stress enough how important self-acceptance is. And there's so many coaches out there today who are espousing self-love and like self-care and self-love. But we have to start at self-acceptance, because going straight from, some of you ladies might be at self-hatred, or you might be at self-loathing, and you're not even at self-acceptance yet. You're not even anywhere close to working on self-love. It would be like planting sunflower seeds in weedy soil. And so it's saying like, okay, if I just accept everything, if I accept all of this, accept my past, accept what's happened to me, accept what I've done to other people, and then use that as my foundation for building self-love. So super important. I hope that answered that question. Okay, is that the next one? Yeah, okay, so combating overwhelm and self-doubt. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about overwhelm in the beginning. I'll just have some water. But overwhelm really comes from trying to figure everything out on a head level. And again, it's like, okay, I'm future projecting, I'm living in the past, I'm trying to weigh up everything that's happened in the past as a predictor of the future. And then I'm trying to predict the future by like thinking and analyzing and using my past experiences to predict the future. But we actually can't do that, because opportunity and potential and possibility only lives in the present moment. But so many of us lack the ability to stay present, or lack any kind of practices that actually keep us in the present moment, because we're so busy and we're so like connected to technology and to everyone else, and we're looking after everybody else's needs, and we're actually not staying present to what is actually happening for us right here, right now. And so that's the only way that overwhelm happens, is us not choosing to live in the present moment. Because in the present moment is where we can actually see like, I hadn't actually thought of maybe doing this, or maybe I should reach out to this person who talked to me about this thing, which has just piqued my interest. We cannot have that awareness. We cannot get those downloads when we're living in the past or living in the future. And so that would be my advice there, is to like really put practices in place that keep you in the present moment. So mindfulness practices, meditation, getting out in nature, journaling, if that's your bag, all that kind of stuff. Oh, someone's chatting. Yes. Okay. Can you listen to both heart and head trying to what out the what? What? Anthea, girl, your words are minced. Can you listen to both heart and head trying to what out?
Trying to figure out. Can you listen to
Okay.
heart and head trying to figure out either our what or the why? Sorry.
With heart and head. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, ultimately, I choose to listen to like body versus head. So your head is going to be the one that has the stories playing. So the fear stories, the ego projections, all of that kind of stuff. So just know that your head is your conscious mind, and it is based on kind of like facts and analytical stuff, and it's very fear-based. Whereas Your heart or your body is soul-based. It's your intuition. It's your inner knowing. And as women, that is our innate gift, is our inner knowing, our intuition, particularly when we're menstruating. That is when it's going to be at its strongest. So yes, you can listen to your head and what that's telling you, but I would say decide from your body, from your heart, always. Because your head's going to try and keep you safe. That's what your ego actually does. It wants to keep you safe, wants to keep you small, wants to keep you secure. But what that means is like, stay in the job that you hate because it's safe. Or don't go on that date with that guy because he's going to break your heart. Or whatever. Just stay with that salary. Don't try and earn too much money. That's what our ego tries to do. So we don't want to listen to the ego, because that is a surefire way to keep yourself living a life that does not turn your soul on fire. What is Stacey saying? I read a quote yesterday that said, "You are not the mind, you are the voice listening to the mind." Exactly. And so that's what this work around the ego and the soul really teaches you, is that there's actually two things at play here: ego, soul, heart, mind, body, mind, whatever. And separating yourself from that and just being the observer of your thoughts, or the observer of your feelings or emotions or whatever it is, and actually deciding from that place of like, no, that thought didn't actually resonate with me, or no, I'm not choosing that disempowering thought, or no, that thought was actually really negative, I'm not choosing that. We actually have that power to discern what thoughts are coming with us and what we're actually just letting float on by. Would you say accepting is the same as taking responsibility to ultimately create self-actualization? Ooh, that's a good one. We do a bit of self-actualization in Radical Blueprint week 1, I think. Accepting is the same as taking responsibility. So yes, I believe that taking responsibility for everything is always the path of least resistance, and it's more compassionate to ourselves. And so taking responsibility doesn't necessarily say it was my fault, but it says I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my reaction to whatever happened. I'm responsible for how I decide to move forward from whatever happened, whether it was a trauma or whatever. And it's basically saying I'm putting the power in my hands to choose my reaction, to choose my experience from that experience, rather than giving your power away to that experience. Because when that happens, we get into this victimhood of like, that thing happened to me, therefore that's why I'm broken. Or, you know, my parents did this and that's why I can't find a loving relationship. And that's victimhood, that's disempowering, and that's not what we want to encourage. I hope that makes sense, Joe. So yeah, accepting, it's like, it may not be my fault, but I'm taking responsibility for what it created in my life. And it's the same thing as forgiveness. So forgiveness is saying like, I may not condone what you've done or what I did or what happened. I may not condone it, but I forgive it. I'm releasing myself from this prison that I've put myself in, you know, doing my head in about like why that happened and why that person did that and how could they do that to me and whatever. I'm just releasing it. So that's what forgiveness is. It's like not condoning the behavior, but just accepting it for what it is. Okay. Get rid of that. Combating overwhelm, self-doubt. Okay, I hope that I've covered that one off. I didn't really talk too much about self-doubt, but hopefully that's kind of an umbrella for this entire topic, is why are you doubting yourself? What reason do you have to doubt yourself? What evidence do you have to doubt yourself? Is it based on a past scenario? Is it based on something that you're future projecting? Why are you doubting yourself? So just be the curious observer of your state and of the stories that you're telling yourself. Oh, it's because your friend down the road failed at starting their own business, so that means that you're going to fail. Or yeah, just kind of dig into where that self-doubt is coming from and whether you actually have evidence to back that up. And then start gathering evidence as to why you shouldn't doubt yourself, as to why you're amazing, as to why you're so capable. It's disproving the negative belief. Okay, next one, how to let go and surrender. Oh, I love this. Okay, so my Radical Blueprint girls are all over this. So why women tend to struggle so much with letting go and surrendering is because we're living in such a masculine world right now. And so when I say masculine, I don't mean ruled by men. I don't mean manly or whatever. I mean it's masculine energy. Women are at work, whereas, 50 years ago or whatever, women weren't really at work. They were in their feminine all day. They were cooking around the fire. They were sitting in communities with other women. They were washing clothes all day, and they were in their feminine energy. But now most women go to work, and so they're in their masculine. They're doing, they're achieving, they're earning money, they're setting goals, they're like getting shit done. And so that becomes their operating system. And I coach a lot of women in the dating space, and this is the main thing that they struggle with, is like learning how to surrender into a masculine energy, because they're kind of staying in their masculine. Like, I don't need help. I don't need you to open the door. I don't need you to give me a compliment. I don't need you to buy me my coffee. And this entirely blocks the polarity that is needed between the masculine and feminine. It needs to be kind of a dance of like push, pull, soft, firm. And so that is my take on why women struggle so much to let go and surrender. It's because we're living in a masculine world and we're not prioritizing the things that allow us to slip into our feminine. And so that is time in nature. That is slowing down, like really slowing down. I was coaching one of my clients today on dating, and I was like, just brush your hair like quite slowly and just take your drink really slowly. And that's really allowing yourself to slip into that feminine energy. When you get home from work, at work you've been getting shit done. When you get home from work, go and have a shower, or at least change your clothes, and that cleanses you of that energy that you've been in all day. It changes your state. And then turn the lights down, light a candle, put some soft music on, make yourself a nice cup of tea while you're cooking dinner. So those things allow you to like really slip into your feminine essence. And then surrendering is all about, this is what I want, this is what I'm going for, but I'm not attached to how it needs to happen and when it needs to happen, and I trust that it's going to come to me. So often what I see with women who are trying to manifest, they are doing their goals, they're doing their SMART goals, they're like, SMART, whatever, time bound, it's got to happen in 3 months, and they're so attached to how it needs to turn out. They're kind of like strangling these goals and like putting all of their worth into these goals. And so that is the opposite of surrendering. Surrendering is like, this is what I want, this is what I'm going for. I'm working on my self-worth, I'm leaning into whatever, and I'm surrendering because I know it's going to happen. I know it's already been put out into the universe, and now I just have to sit back and wait for it to happen. So that's where I see women struggling with this art of surrender. It's like, I know what I want, I believe I can get it, and now I'm just going to sit back and wait for it to manifest. We don't do that. We're like, oh, but I'm not getting the clues that it's going to happen, and I can't trust that it's happening. And so many of the women that I see, that they've got low self-worth, and so they don't have that belief piece locked in. And it's that belief piece that allows our goals and manifestations to come true. And that's the part that I see women are missing the most, because society and our parents and whatever has beaten us down and beaten us down and beaten us down, that our self-worth is at such a, and I don't mean broadly, I mean generally, this is the kind of flavor I get, is that our self-worth is kind of has taken quite a beating collectively. And so we've got a lot of work to do in order to get back into that place of empowerment and self-belief and surrender. So that's what it is. Hope that answered your question. Okay, goal setting 101. So this is a combination of a few of you ladies. Stacey, you were up in here. Don't you still have to take Yes, absolutely, Anthea. And we'll get to that on the next slide, which that's the most important step, is actually taking that action 100%. But also surrendering to like when it needs to happen, or surrendering to exactly how it needs to look, or surrendering to like the exact format that it needs to come in. So it's more about like, I know that I'm doing the work every day towards my goals, but I'm also doing it in a feminine, surrendery, trusting way. Hope that makes sense. Okay, goal setting. So goal setting for me feels very masculine already, so I try and make it more kind of like intention setting or like manifestations. But yeah, so we're going to talk about how to set realistic and attainable goals, how to stay accountable. That's where something like Radical Blueprint is fantastic, because you've got that built-in accountability. There's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to run. And then this need for subconscious validation. So I did touch on that a little bit earlier, which is like this heroin addiction to needing to know that like I'm doing it right, I'm enough, I'm beautiful enough, I'm smart enough, I'm okay, I'm on the right path. And that often that can be a self-sabotaging pattern, is like I'm not getting the validation I require, therefore I'm just going to give up. So super, and everything comes, all of these blocks, all of these fears, all of it comes back to whatever happened to us during childhood, whatever kind of meaning we made out of scenarios when our subconscious mind was developing between the ages of 0 and 14. So, you know, if your parents worked a lot and you were always being left with the nanny, and you may have developed the belief that like my parents don't love me, and that could lead to a whole other raft of like requiring validation in your relationships and in your job and all this kind of stuff. So it's super important to try and connect the dots in that way. Okay, how do we get to the next slide? Okay, cool. So how to set goals. So step number 1 is like, what do I actually want? Like, what do I want? Is it a relationship? Is it, so what does success look like for me right now? Do I want a relationship? Do I want to, you know, leave my corporate job and start my own business? Do I want to attract in a level of financial abundance? Do I want to create my soul tribe because I don't feel like I've got my girlfriends around me right now? So get really clear on what it is that you actually want to call in, and then why you actually want it. And this step is super important because we want to distinguish whether it's coming from ego or soul. So whether we actually are trying to attract something in to please other people, or to show other people that we're successful, or to show our ex-boyfriend that like we're so much better off without him, or whatever it is. So getting really clear on what you want and then why you actually want it. I'll just check this chat. Yeah, totally, Amber. I'll send this out afterwards. Just don't sell it. Just kidding. Okay, and I've put here, so getting clear on what you want, writing a list. I wouldn't try and do this in your head because again, you're going to run into that issue of like the head versus the heart. So you never want to try and like solve any big problems or creative processes or anything in your head. That's why journaling, writing, all that kind of stuff, that's why writing stuff is super helpful, because you literally stream your conscious thought from your head onto a piece of paper. So write a list of what you want. Let's talk about relationship, for example. So you're trying to attract in a partner. Get really, really granular and clear on what it is that you want. What kind of, and I don't mean physical attributes necessarily, but what, do you want him to be sporty? Do you want him to have a great relationship with his parents? Do you want to live in the same house together? Do you want a monogamous relationship or polyamorous? Get really, really granular and specific on those things that you want, because the universe works on specificity. Vague, what's the word I want? Vague, oh my God, what's the word? Vague something produces vague results. Vague requests produces vague results. So we really need to work on specifics. So getting super granular. In saying that, if you're into human design, and if you know what human design is and what type you are, and whether you're a specific or a non-specific manifester, that's really helpful to know, because non-specific manifestors can just kind of have a broad view of like, I want to start my own business and I want it to be based in Australia and I want to export a clothing item. They would be able to manifest from that space. Whereas a specific manifestor needs to know, like, we're in Australia. Okay, what item? Is it for men or for women? They need to get really granular. So another exciting, interesting thing to dive into, and that's something we do as part of Radical Blueprint. I do everyone's human design and give you a full read. Process of elimination. So often part of getting clear on what we actually want is by figuring out what we don't want. And this is true, well, this is true in all areas, but particularly in relationships and in, well, dating and in career. So hating a job will kind of catapult you closer to what it is that you actually do really want. So do not be scared of the process of elimination. Get clear on what it is you want, why you want it. That part is super easy. The next step is the SMART stuff. So we've all done SMART goals at school or at work. So specificity, I've talked about that. Measurability is super important because you want to know when you've been successful. What does success look like? And then how are you tracking along the way? So are you actually going on the right path, or have you kind of started down this path and it's actually taking you down this way? So measurability is super important. Just trying to think of an example. So a lot of the women in my mastermind, their goals were kind of feeling and behavior based. So it was more like, I want to develop a really self-compassionate relationship with myself and put boundaries in place, something like that. And a couple of them tripped up on how to actually measure that. And the measurability there would be like a feeling. I just feel a lot lighter within myself, and I feel like I can put boundaries in place a lot quicker and a lot easier, and I don't even have to think about it. So everything is measurable, but a lot of it comes back to you and having the self-awareness within yourself to be able to measure. So is it achievable? Do you have the skills, or do you need a coach or training to be able to achieve that goal? Is there something else that you need to put in place, or do you need support with that? And is it relevant? So with some people that are as realistic, but I use relevant because, again, it comes back to like, what is your greater why? Why do you actually want this thing? Is it actually relevant to your life stage right now and to your bigger picture? So if you have like a 10-year vision for yourself, is this 1-year goal that you're creating for yourself, is it actually relevant to that bigger picture? And a question to ask yourself to ascertain that is like, what will this allow me to be, do, or have if I achieve this goal? And then with time bound, I don't really like to put time on things because I think that that takes away from the element of surrender. But some people like it, so choose your own adventure with that one. Just have some water. Okay, this next part is huge, which is figuring out where you're blocked. And that's kind of what we're talking about tonight is, what is your biggest block? Yes, it's fear, but okay, where did that fear come from? What is the story that you're telling yourself about that fear? All that kind of stuff. So we do a bit of a forensic analysis on like that block. We tear it apart. So what is the narrative or the story that you're telling yourself around getting what you want? What's actually in the way? Is it a person? Is it a limiting belief? Is it a habit that you're addicted to that's actually blocking you from being able to get that goal? So figuring out what that is the only way that we can go about busting that block. Sorry, there's so much noise outside. There's like a helicopter now. Okay, the next step is raising your self-worth. Again, super important. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. I think it was Wayne Dyer that said that perhaps. And so you can only attract something into your life that has the same level of self-worth that you have. And this is obviously more apparent for relationships. But again, it can also be applied to a work scenario or trying to buy a house or any of that kind of stuff. So we are always manifesting from our self-worth. That is where we manifest from. And so where we're not in our self-worth because we have blocks, we have trauma, we haven't been passing tests, we won't be able to manifest in that thing because we haven't created space. We haven't created a clear pathway and we haven't made it safe for that thing to arrive into our life. So this part is super huge. If you follow me on Instagram, I shared an example of this actually today, which was recently I started talking about exercise addiction and how dangerous I feel places like F45 can be for a lot of women. The keto diet can be dangerous for a lot of women. I got a lot of backlash. I stood up for myself. I stood in my worth when it came to that. And then 2 days ago, I was asked to be an ambassador for F45, which is like fucking hilarious. But even though my ego was like, ooh, an ambassador, like that could get you some exposure or like a free gym membership or what money, I don't even know. My ego was like, yeah, say yes to that thing, even though I don't even live in Auckland. But my soul was like, that is not aligned. That is you not speaking your truth. That is going against something that you actually stood up for 2 weeks ago. And so I said no, which was me passing the test. And now I've created space for something way more aligned to come into my life. So that is what this raise your self-worth piece looks like. And a lot of the women in my mastermind program have proven this to themselves throughout the 8 weeks. They've created enormous things in their life, new jobs, 20K pay rises, all this kind of stuff. Okay, the chats are popping. What is going on? Okay, what happens when you don't pass the test? Really great question. Okay, and then I'll come back to you, Joe. So what happens when you don't pass the test? Okay, so when you don't pass the test, you fail the test. And when you fail the test, that is you essentially saying, I don't fully believe that I can get everything that I deserve. Therefore, I'm just going to settle for this thing that kind of has, you know, has some pretty good qualities. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I don't fully believe that I can get everything on my list, or I don't fully believe that I can get anything better than that. So not passing the test is failing the test, which is kind of taking away from our self-worth. It's settling, it's saying, I don't deserve to have more than that. And what happens when we do that is the universe goes, oh, fuck, okay, we're going to have to teach her this lesson a lot louder. And so the tests will come in bigger and stronger and louder and more uncomfortable. So not fun. If you're already at the self-acceptance stage, what are some simple steps to increase your self-worth? Passing tests. Yeah, so it's passing tests. That's the answer. And a test will come in the form of like a shiny dangly carrot. It's like, oh, this thing feels good, or like, oh, that's something that I want. But that's where you have to really practice discernment and go, is that everything that I said that I wanted? And that's why step number 1 in this goal setting process is super important, the specifics. Okay, here's my list. This is what I want. And with some people I say, you can make your list non-negotiables and preferences. So you can split it out into like, these are non-negotiables. I want a guy who wants to be monogamous. My preference is that he plays golf. My preference is that he has blonde hair. But if someone came along and he like had everything that you wanted, but he was not monogamous, you would want to pass that test. Hope that makes sense. So increasing your self-worth is literally passing tests. Putting boundaries in place, saying no to things that aren't aligned with you, speaking up for yourself. What I say to my girls in the mastermind is like, we all have a self-worth bank account, and every decision we make in every moment is either depositing in that bank account or withdrawing from that bank account. So you get to be the bank teller of your own self-worth bank account. Is this taking away? Is this adding? Okay. Measurable. So back to you, Joe. So would I ask myself, how do I know that I've got what I want? That comes back to like inner trust and inner discernment and a feeling of like, do I feel content with this thing? And like, do I feel within my soul that I have what it is that I asked for? I hope that answers your question. Okay. Anthea, gosh, so many questions from you. Love it. Can you settle for something in the short term if you know it's going to help you achieve your actual long-term goals? Yes. Okay. An example of this would be like a bridge job. So if you say that you want to manifest, you want to like start your own business, but you're not quite ready to take that leap yet because you need to be practical. You've still got bills to pay. You might have a kid that needs food. So you're going to take a bridge job, which is just going to pay the bills because you're so miserable in that old job, which was taking away from your self-worth because your boss treated you like crap. You're going to leave that job, deposit in your self-worth bank account, but you need to be practical before you start that business. You need to get some money coming in. So you're going to take a bridge job, but you're just going to make sure that bridge job is in your self-worth and it's helping you expand and helping create space for you to start that business. So you kind of want it to be something that's aligned to that business that you're wanting to create. So can you work within a company that's going to teach you something that's really going to help you to start that business? So if you want to start like a coaching business, don't go work in like a chocolate shop, if that makes sense. Unless it was a great chocolate shop and they were teaching you some business skills. Yeah, that's your exact scenario. I know. Okay, cool. Great questions, guys. And then the final step of this goal setting process is taking aligned, committed action. So thank you to the lady that asked that, Anthea, I think, that asked that question. So yes, you have to take action. And this, I think, is where some like spiritual new agey communities will kind of sell you the dream that like all you have to do is just like sit back and like pray under a full moon and you're just going to manifest what you want. But that's not true. You have to fucking take action. So the important part of that is that it's aligned to your goal and it's committed. So what do you need to do daily? What do you need to do weekly? What do you need to do on a monthly basis that's actually going to bring you closer to creating that thing that it is that you want? And a lot of this action, depending on your circumstances, action is going to look different for every person. So action, yes, it's going to be like doing, like getting shit done, masculine stuff. But some of it is also going to be like inner work. So some of your action might be like dissolving those blocks, dissolving those negative limiting beliefs that have kept you back in that place that you want to break free from. So a lot of the action is actually going to be the uncomfortable work, which I love. So figure out what steps you need to take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Is your lifestyle, your current lifestyle, actually supportive of this goal that you've set yourself? So if you've set yourself a goal that you want to like run a marathon, but you are still like binge drinking every weekend, not supportive. So it's about creating an optimum environment in order for this goal of yours to flourish. How do you take action while being in your feminine? Great question, Amy. So it's about, so I like to, masculine and feminine, I also like to switch them out with like soft and firm. So it's like, how do I get clear on what it is that I want? So I might write the list of all the actions that I need to take in order to take my actions towards my goal. But I'm going to be super like flowy and feminine and creative and non-linear with how I approach that action list. So it's about inviting feminine into the masculine traits. Does that make sense? So feminine is all about like flow. It's about collaboration. So how can I take this action via collaborating with someone? Is there someone that could help me get closer to my goal? Is there someone that I can reach out to for support? Is there a creative way that I can go about this that I haven't actually thought of before? So that's how you invite feminine into the masculine dynamic of doing. And do you need boundaries? Are there boundaries that you need to put in place with your friends and say like, hey, I love catching up with you guys for brunch, but actually I'm trying to start my own business right now and all of my money needs to go into this business. So could you maybe just come over to my house for brunch? Something like that. Oh man, my throat. Okay, how are we going for time? Shit, okay, we're nearly at time. How did we get there? Okay, moving through past fear. I hopefully feel like I've covered this, so I'm going to skip past this one, but it's all about like becoming aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. Where is this fear? What, like give a bit of a caricature to this fear. Like, what is it saying to me? When does it speak the loudest? Where do I think this has come from? When do I first remember feeling this fear? So becoming the curious observer and the forensic scientist of your fear experience. Because, and also, like, get realistic with yourself. 99.9% of the things that we actually fear never come true. So what a wasted life for us to be pulling all of this energy, causing ourselves pain, causing everyone around us pain for something that is never going to come true, may never come true. It's something that we've constructed in our brains. Silly. Okay. Next one, quietening the ego over the Christmas holidays. So, okay, this is from Grace, who has done Radical Blueprint too. So, yeah, your ego saying like you should be going out for a surf, or you should be going for a walk, or you should be helping your mum in the kitchen, or you should be whatever. You're wasting time just sitting on your ass. You should be going and enjoying the summer. You know, you've only got 2 weeks of holidays. And so this ego, again, it's trying to keep you small, it's trying to keep you safe, it's trying to make you do the right, safe thing, but it's not always supportive of your soul. And again, this comes back to trust. It's just like, if I feel like sitting and reading a book for an entire day, I trust that that is what my soul is asking for. So I'm going to tell my ego, not right now. And I always tell my clients to name their ego. So call your ego like Cheryl or Margaret or whatever, and just say like, thank you, Margaret, not right now. I'm good. I'm reading this book. And again, it's just about like stepping into your empowerment and not giving your power away to your ego. It's not compassionate, it's not kind, it's not supportive of you enjoying your hard-earned holidays, allowing this ego to say like, oh, you should be going and visiting your great aunt Edith, or you should be going for a hike on New Year's Day because it'll look good on Instagram. Give yourself like full dominion over choosing on a daily basis what it is that you get to do with your time on earth. My mum is called Cheryl. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I always know that I'm going to offend someone. Call your ego Anna. Fine. I'll take it. Okay. I think that we've done that one to death. Okay, how do I back myself? Everyone else around you can meet someone, buy the house, so why can't I? So, okay, again, this comes back to comparisonitis and envy. And I have been there and I totally feel this and I hear you. And all those thoughts are doing is pointing you to an area of yourself that you're not fully accepting and not fully loving. And so it comes back to that self-acceptance. Okay, why do I believe this? Why do I believe this thought? And is this thought supportive of what it is that I'm calling in? And if you go back to the goal setting formula from a few slides back and you practice that formula by getting really clear on what it is that you want. Is it coming from soul or ego? Or do you just want to attract in the relationship so that your friends don't think that you're a loser because you're single? So is it coming from ego? Is it coming from soul? If you follow those steps in that goal setting manifestation process, it will not fail. It's only failing because you're not in your self-worth, the decision's coming from ego, or you don't fully believe that you can have that thing. And you're not, and you're still blocked. So again, it comes back to, and something I also teach as well is like turning that envy, turning that jealousy, turning that comparisonitis into expansion. So this concept of expanders is basically like seeing the thing that it is that you want and allowing yourself to feel into that feeling and say like, oh, I cannot wait to have that thing for myself. I know that it's coming for me. I know that it's right around the corner. And I truly believe, particularly with relationships, I truly believe that women will, or men, whatever, will have periods of aloneness, of being single, of not being able to manifest a relationship for a reason. And I believe that that is the universe tapping them on the shoulder and saying like, hey, there's some work to do in here. Hey, it's actually time for you to fall in love with yourself and really work on the relationship that you have with yourself, so that you can attract in that relationship that you want. Because we cannot attract from lack. We cannot attract from I'm not enough until I have that thing, which is low self-worth. So back yourself, girl. And something like Radical Blueprint, again, is going to be the ultimate container for learning to back yourself and for having this tribe around you who will not let you fail. Patience with manifesting. Okay. Time check. Okay, 2 minutes. So I think I've kind of covered this a lot, but essentially it's like, okay, I've followed the formula. It hasn't come in yet. So I'm just going to trust, because it's compassionate, it's kind, it's supportive. I'm going to trust that it's coming, and it's coming in its own time. We all have a soul contract that we came to Earth as part of. And that contract has has timings against it. And so things will come in at the right time based on you healing that thing. So healing the blocks that have stopped you from having that thing. If you're not willing to heal, if you're not willing to face off with yourself and go inwards and actually clear those blocks and step into your self-worth and surrender, then you're not going to get that thing. The universe is going to have to keep sending you tests in order to help you clear those blocks. So it's a timing thing. If you're not manifesting, it means it's not for you yet. It's still coming. There's still work to be done. And it's about trust and surrender. And also, okay, thank you for this space. My thing hasn't come in yet. So what can I do with this space that would be really supportive and really effective for me right now? Go inwards. How do I back myself? I'm just going to see how many more. Okay, that's all. Cool. How do I back myself? Oh, no, I just did that. How do I make a decision and commit to it? This is huge. And I particularly see this with my my ladies in their 20s. And what I said to one of my clients today was like, this decision fatigue is because you haven't actually taken enough leaps of faith, and you haven't actually made enough mistakes yet in order to kind of like gather your toolkit of grit and resilience. And yep, that was a good decision. Yep, that wasn't the best decision. This is what I would do in that same scenario if it happened again. And so again, it comes back to like trust and surrender. It's like, I've done my due diligence on my decision-making process. I've gotten clear on my values. I've gotten clear on what's important to me. I've gotten clear on why I want it. I've gotten clear on whether it's ego or soul. And then I've made the decision. I've taken the leap. I trust that it's the right decision, because there truly is no wrong decision. There's decisions that will stretch us, or there's decisions that won't stretch us. And so nothing is wrong. It's all going to give us exactly what we need. So committing to that is literally saying, like, I'm committing to this. I'm committing to myself, and I'm committing to this decision. And I know I'm going to get exactly what I need, no matter what I decide or what I choose. So that is kind of it, I think. If you want to stay on for another couple of minutes, I can open up the speaky things. You can ask. God, it's late. I'm mincing all my words, but you can ask any of your questions. I'm just going to stop sharing that so I can see all your faces. I haven't been able to see anyone's faces for a whole hour, and it's killing me. There you all are. Okay. So what I would say is, if anyone wants to get further clarity on any of that, book in for a discovery call, which is just on my website, and we can talk about how I could support you in that. Obviously, Radical Blueprint Mastermind is amazing for this kind of stuff, for busting through fear, for manifesting, all of that kind of stuff. And I still have 5 spots for the next round starting in February. So if that's something that's of interest to anyone, you know where to find me. But now I would really love to just see if there's any questions that want to come in. So feel free to take yourself off mute or pop something in the chat box, and I will answer your questions. You're welcome, Joe. You're welcome, Tracy. Come on, Anthea, you must have something. Are you on a break as of now, though? Yeah, I'm kind of on a break. Well, kind of, but I will be online a little bit next week, and then from the 13th of January. But I can always do, like, if anyone wants to chat to me just on Instagram messages, and just put any of your questions through there on a voice note, and I'll come back to you on voice note. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, I've got a lot of my Radical Blueprint girls in here, which is great, because I think surely you guys know everything by now, right? But no, there's always something to learn, always in the learner's seat. Okay, see you, Brittany. Bye. Yay. Okay. Thank you, ladies. That was awesome. I hope that you got out of this what you wanted. I cannot believe how fast an hour goes. I will send the replay out to everyone. So if you want to watch it back and just kind of like fast forward to the bits that you wanted to hear. But I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas, amazing holidays. I hope that you really take a little bit of time to, well, firstly relax, but a little bit of time to just do some reflection of like, what do I actually want to create in 2020? What is on my heart? What is something that has kind of been like niggling at me for so long, and I just have not taken the action on it? And how can I set my environment up for success? Is it that I need to ask someone for support, or get some girlfriends around me who are trying to manifest the same kinds of things? Because environment is everything. Okay, ladies. Well, that was lots of fun. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you guys on the Instagrams. Bye.
Thanks, Anna.
You're welcome.